Hey guys, Martin here bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so I know there's been a lot of talk recently of the potential for a part 3 unit or an EX part like the anniversary with the Super Saiyan 3 Diamond Vegeta, or even if it's not technically either of those things, the next Dokkan Fest that would be coming out like with the official ending of the Global Dokkan campaign. So there's been a few different things pointing towards what the situation could actually be, and it does very much seem like whatever is going to be coming out next is going to be still considered part of the Global Dokkan campaign, right? Just like the Diamond Vegeta being a release at the end of the anniversary, being a Dokkan Fest, releasing around the time we would have expected the next Dokkan Fest to come out anyway, but obviously being considered like the ending part of the anniversary. And it seems like we are going to have a similar situation this time around as well. So I've got a few different things here that we can show to go over some of the information. First off, we have a tweet here from Rick, one of the data miners, quoting Proton. So shout out to both these guys for the info that they're able to get for us. JP's home screen banner for part 2 was finally updated with tonight's content, and the end date now matches global. So basically with the most recent data download, we now have the banner that's on the home screen that shows Global Dokkan Campaign part 2 now goes up until the 8th, which is I think when we're expecting this next unit to come out, right, which is essentially a week for just under a week from now, next Friday. So there's an update to this. So the Global Dokkan campaign still underway, despite, as far as we know, apart from the fan voted special event, the thing where we're going to have the long event, 4 phases with no items, no status effects, that kind of thing. Very interesting. That's going to be dropping in the next couple of days. But as far as we know, that is the last piece of content from Global Dokkan campaign in terms of everything that's actually been announced so far. So be interesting to see what sort of news we get, because if this is actually going to be dropping, like a new unit is going to be coming out on Friday, we would expect to see news by sort of like Wednesday at the latest. Well, potentially a teaser on Tuesday. We would expect to see the unit details like posted fully on Twitter potentially by Wednesday. So only going to be a few days until we get official confirmation of all of this stuff. But the thing that everyone has been pointing towards is the big thing was this map screen was in the data download. So map for event ID 1515, not yet in the database. So you can tell from looking at the way it's kind of laid out. People have commented on it as well, especially, but it looks like a Dokkan event map, right? Because usually when you jump into a Dokkan event, you've got the 2 separate paths that you can choose to go. One primarily lets you focus on picking up a couple of different colored capsules, so you can either get some support items and some training items or some awakening medals. And then the other one is usually prioritized for key. So if you're running a team that maybe needs a little bit of extra key, obviously like if you're a newer player, got a slightly less powerful team or using a less optimal leader, like those are very helpful. They're also really useful for like burst mode when you do the allies minus key to go that route and get as much key as possible for the team. But that's usually how these maps are laid out. And the most important thing to note from this is if this is indeed a new Dokkan event map, the big important thing is that the ID not being in the database. What this means is this is a Dokkan event that is brand new in the sense that it's not one for a character that we already have, right? So like for example, when they bring out the I'm just going to bring up the tab here so we can look at the awakening things. Like for example, when they brought out the event to get the medals to awaken like a new Omega, right, that came out for part 2, it's just a new stage added to the Omega Dokkan event, right? Stage 4. This is not that. This is the opposite, right? So this is, there isn't a character in the game with that name yet that has a Dokkan event. So it's got to be a character with a unique name. So people speculating things like a new Trunks, right, to tie in with Future. The only way that would be possible is it has to be a Trunks that doesn't already have a Dokkan Fest. And I'm pretty sure since we already have base Trunks and we already... Do we have a Super Saiyan Trunks Dokkan Fest? Like, it'd have to be a uniquely named Trunks, right, for it to be possible. So of course this leads people to speculate. With everything that's been going on, it's always a popular choice. It comes up as a speculation every time there's going to be a Dokkan festival release coming, even when we have no idea what it's going to be. A name that's always tossed into the ring is of course the baby finally getting a Dokkan Fest. And it ties in pretty well with the way this celebration has gone, right? With part 2, all these buffs for GT, Omega's leader skill, obviously having Baby on it. We got the temporary buff for LR Super Baby 2, but of course, when the celebration comes to an end, that buff goes away and he's not going to be usable, so we won't have a meta-relevant Baby once again. Now, that on its own is not enough to indicate that, oh, well, it's got to be Baby then, right? However, we got some stuff here. This is the actual first bit I wanted to show. So these events are returning very soon, right before the end of part 2. We're getting a GT story event, which is the Vegeta, the free-to-play Great Ape Vegeta. We're also getting the return of the Extreme Z area for the GT characters. So this could potentially mean a new EZA for a GT character is coming. Or it could mean that these medals from this event are going to be needed for something. Now, I know straight away people jump to like, well, if we're using the Vegeta medals, is it going to be a new Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, for example? But obviously, remember, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta has a Dokkan Fest event already because he has a Dokkan Fest from the 2nd year and the 4th year. So, in theory, the new map can't be a Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. I mean, technically, they could be going all out and it could be another dual banner situation and we get a Vegeta who doesn't need a new event and a baby. But all signs are pointing towards, I think, one character that needs to be released. If we go back to here, we actually have this original tweet from Proton, gaps in the ID tables, which have led people to believe that there's going to be another summonable LR coming. So it says the LR here does seem more likely to be summonable since there's one more slot missing from the card awakenings table. Free-to-play units only usually require one set of medals per awakening. So people were speculating about like, oh, it could just be a free-to-play card like missing in the files or something like that. So it could be, not only are we potentially getting a baby release as a Dokkan Fest, the potential that it could actually be an LR as well is seemingly quite high. And then yeah, the new event that they're releasing that we voted for, there's going to be this 4 stages long event. Air Dokkan pointed out that the art for the actual event itself has the GT trio like Goku, Pan, Trunks, well, and Giru, or the quad, I guess. The quartet is the word. There you go. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that I don't think that this in any way means that the unit is going to be like a new GT trio. Now, bear in mind, that could be an option because they're a yellow coin LR, the one that exists, which means they don't have a Dokkan event. So technically, that could be a possibility. But to me, this just seems like yet another sign of like the baby saga, right? Because that's essentially where this unit is coming from. And that could certainly be very interesting. It could certainly make for some interesting things to come with these worldwide global Dokkan campaign teams, right? Because Omega, his leader skill is Inhuman Deeds, Power Absorption, or GT Bosses. Baby is, of course, on GT Bosses anyway. He's also on Inhuman Deeds. And then the extra bonus is to Shadow Dragon Saga, Worldwide Chaos, or Battle of Fate. Now, certain baby units are on Battle of Fate. The proper one from like the climactic battle with Goku. So obviously we've got the Super Baby 2 Giant Ape, the one that is temporarily buffed, is on Battle of Fate. This guy's buffs are going to go away, so he's going to be unusable. I did say we'd have no meta-relevant baby, because obviously we have this guy that just got his EZA, but he's a nuking style leader, so he's banned in most of the events. So there are some events you can use him in, but you can't really use this guy either. And then you remember that these guys are Super Baby 2 brackets Giant Ape because they have the transformation. We actually don't have just a standalone Super Baby 2. Technically, the only one is this guy, who is the unit that the Int 1 awakens from. So, like, doesn't have the ability to transform into a Giant Ape and is just Super Baby 2. He's on Battle of Fate, but it's obviously because he awakens into the Great Ape one. Because if we take a look at, we've got this free-to-play Super Baby 1, who is not on Battle of Fate. And then, of course, there's the Super Baby 1 that is the TUR of the LR. And then there's also the SSR version. There's also an SSR version for the LR of just the baby Vegeta that's not on Battle of Fate either. So I think it depends how they decide to do the unit, and I think with the Global Dokkan campaign units, they've done very well with actually making sure that units are on a bunch of categories and stuff like that. So I could see this guy, even if he starts out as Baby Vegeta, which would be kind of cool with that intro where like the red lines appear on his face and his hair turns white. I know people want to see that as like an intro. Imagine if he starts off as Baby Vegeta and then transforms. I mean, ideally transforms, I guess, just straight up into Super Baby 2. Could just have both the transformations in the animation. Transforms into Super Baby 2, but not named like brackets Great Ape. He could have an active skill attack that has the Great Ape in it, because then that would put him on Giant Ape power as well. That'd be kind of cool. But then he would be on Battle of Fate, because most importantly, we would want him to be on Battle of Fate, because otherwise he won't be on the 220 lead for Sin, Omega, which is kind of stupid. Like, I don't understand why. I know the definitions of the categories isn't exactly like fleshed out, but like, how is Baby not on Worldwide Chaos when you think about the fact that by the time like Goku finally returned to Earth to fight Baby, pretty much almost everyone on the Earth had been like possessed by the Tuffle like things, right? So how is that not a worldwide chaos situation? Don't really know. But yeah, it means if the new unit isn't on Battle of Fate, then they won't be on the full 220 lead. Now, that's not the end of the world. If the unit is good, they could obviously still be good on the Omega team. But the big thing with Baby releasing and why he's been a unit that people have wanted to see for a long time as a Dokkan Fest is because of all the categories that he's on, right? Just like Omega, we want these big extreme units to release that can then have a bunch of options for extreme characters, because he's got artificial life forms, he's got terrifying conquerors, Target Goku, Final Trump Card, Revenge, Inhuman Deeds, obviously Giant Ape Power, Space Traveling Warriors, Corroded Body and Mind, and of course GT Bosses. Like, there's a couple of interesting options for things like Terrifying Conquerors, units like Cooler. Obviously we know the Worldwide Cooler is going to get an Easy A at some point, probably the 11th anniversary if we go by when the Frieza and Goku from the year before Easy Aid. But this guy has the potential to have a really, really good extreme leader skill. So it certainly seems like there are a lot of hints pointing towards the release being a Dokkan Fest Baby. Obviously, it could be anything. It could be something else GT related, or it could be something completely different. I mean, even just the fact that like the new event that's coming out has this like GT art doesn't necessarily mean anything, considering it's dropping at the end of a celebration which has been heavily GT themed, right? So this doesn't necessarily mean anything, but the hints are definitely there. A new Dokkan event seems to be coming with a unique name character, one that doesn't exist in the files, and so something like finally getting a Dokkan Fest Baby does seem like it's going to be a decent possibility. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Do you think all of this stuff points towards Baby? Do you think it's something GT related that isn't Baby, or do you think it's something else completely different? I mean, it could, realistically it could be anything, but the signs definitely seem to be pointing that way, which would be very, very cool. Like, extreme units will have got such a massive buff from this celebration if that is the case. I mean, they have already. Like, Rosé's great, Omega's team's super good. Like, this would be such a great ending to the celebration for extreme teams. So I guess we'll have to wait and see, but let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.